Basically, after you educate yourself and you're part of the right community, what this does is this will open the door for the benefit of saving your equity, which is important. If you're here, obviously you want to save your equity. It's rightfully yours. You should keep it in your pocket. But also, if you want to use a real estate agent, that's okay, because we can still show you how to save the majority of your equity as well. We have a few different options for that. But absolutely, the thing that I feel strongly about is there's no reason for anybody to pay 6% real estate commission, even if you don't want to do the whole process yourself. There's ways to reduce that dramatically.
You're listening to the Your House, Your Equity podcast, Home Sellers Edition, where we help homeowners like you to sell your house and save your equity. Hello, and thanks for joining us for episode number 1 of the Your House, Your Equity podcast, where we help homeowners to sell their house and save their equity.
My name is Vin.
And my name is Elle, and today we are pleased to announce that the future of home sales is here. There are a lot of changes happening in the real estate market right now that you need to know about, and some of these industry secrets may surprise you, and they certainly go against the grain. But that's why they need to be revealed, so that more homeowners like you can save their equity. We're going to be talking about how you can sell your house without a real estate agent to save your equity, or for those of you who feel more comfortable working with a real estate agent, we're going to talk about how you can save your equity even with a real estate agent.
Homeowners, buckle up, because what we're about to tell you has the power to put thousands of dollars back in your pocket.
Then I think most homeowners know that they have the option to sell their house on their own. But the problem is that many homeowners are scared or intimidated by the idea of doing it. What's your take on that?
Well, my take on it is, first of all, people need to educate themselves to feel comfortable, which you should do even if you work with a real estate agent. You need to educate yourself, because as we're about to talk about, there's ways to save money there as well. And something that's even more important than that is you need to find the right community to support you, just to have people around you that are going through the same thing at the same time, and also people who have already gone through the process that can support you, answer your questions, give you motivation. And basically, they've been through that process before, and they feel comfortable helping other people, and they can help you get through it as well. So basically, after you educate yourself and you're part of the right community that can support you, what this does is this will open the door for the benefit of saving your equity, which is important. If you're here, obviously you want to save your equity. It's rightfully yours. You should keep it in your pocket. But also, if you want to use a real estate agent, that's okay, because we can still show you how to save the majority of your equity as well. We have a few different options for that.
So, Vin, basically what you're saying is that anyone can choose to sell their house on their own and save all of their equity as a for sale by owner, right?
That's exactly right. You can actually save all your equity and pay 0% commission if you choose to do that.
But then, on the other hand, for someone who is still just a little uncomfortable selling their house without a real estate agent there to represent them, there is still an option to save their equity. And one thing that was absolutely mind-blowing for me was finding out that you can negotiate a real estate agent's commission. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Nobody should be paying more than 4% commission, and that's with full service using a real estate agent. Now, I know there are some listing agents and buyer agents out there who might be deterred by a lower commission, but in reality, there are plenty of agents out there who have integrity and will still be more than happy to help you sell your house, and we can show you how to work with them. We show you how to do that in our course. We show you how to negotiate. We even have a service that will even connect you with agents who are willing to work 4% or less. There is no reason to pay the full 6% commission in the year 2023. Or beyond, because with these secrets that we reveal to people, we're pretty much showing you how to keep the equity in your pocket where it rightfully belongs. So right off the bat, you can get 2% of your equity back. And for some houses, that could be over $10,000 right there. But we also have other ways that you can do it. I mean, we can show easy ways for people to list their house on their own, and then an agent can bring a buyer for you. And now you only have to pay 2% commission, no longer even the 4%, which can save an average of $20,000.
So Vin, just to clarify first, before we go into anything else, if someone wanted to list their home on their own, but was still willing to pay a buyer's agent commission of, like you said, 2% or less, How would they go about that? What would that process look like if they were to want to save that 2% from paying, the 4% to the listing agent? How could they cut that down from the 4% for the listing agent to the 2% for a buyer's agent? What would that look like?
Well, the difference is about a couple hours of work, about 2 hours of your time to actually get your property online. And these days, basically, there's sites that you could put your house online, like Zillow, or social media, like Facebook, and different sites that we can show you how to list your house. And basically, the buyer will contact you directly. And that would save you 4% of your equity, which is a tremendous savings for about 2 hours time. And these days, actually, Al, which is really interesting, almost everybody has a computer or a smartphone, and they're able to list themselves if they want. So an agent is basically not, a real estate agent's not doing anything that you can't do yourself. You can screen your own buyers, you can show your own house, you can even pay to list your own property in the MLS for under $200. And to be quite honest, you have all the advantages over a real estate agent to sell your property, because no one knows your property better than yourself. And you have all the tools right in your hand to take charge and save your equity. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And the beautiful part is, not only do we have a course that teaches people all these things, but we also have a community that supports the people in all these areas as well. But absolutely, the thing that I feel strongly about is there's no reason for anybody to pay 6% real estate commission, even if you don't want to do the whole process yourself. There's ways to reduce that dramatically.
Right. So, of course, people want to save as much of their equity as possible. And I think, like you said, it's definitely easier these days to do it. I think in the past, it may have been a little bit more difficult to get the word out, right? But now these days, it's very easy.
Yeah, I've been around since the ideal way a long time ago was newspapers to put your property in, and nobody uses newspapers anymore. And then there was sites like Craigslist, which it can still work as well, but that is not as big as some of the other sites now. But we've seen the market evolve into what it is today.
If you were to list a house today, what are the top advertising methods that you would use to get your house out there?
Well, the first two methods that I would use is Zillow. I put my house on Zillow as a for sale by owner, and also on Facebook. I would do Marketplace and also groups in my area. Put the posting on there and let the people find your house through those two methods. That would be my first two places that I would put the word out.
So you mentioned Zillow. You also mentioned Facebook Marketplace. And as far as groups, how would that work? How would you go about getting your listing into groups?
When you join Facebook, there's groups. You could do a search, and you could do real estate and put your area or your city or houses for sale in your county, whatever your county is, and groups will pop up that you can join. And you just have to read through the list and see which ones are relevant to your area, which deal with houses for sale. And then you would click to join those groups. And once you're accepted into those groups, then you can post a little blurb about your property with a link to your Marketplace page or even your Zillow page. And that's kind of how I would do it for the groups.
And that's really good insight, because I don't think that's something that a real estate agent typically does for you, right? If you're going to list with them, they're just putting it on their system. They're not going into social media for you, are they?
Very few agents have I seen do that. I mean, most of the time they will just put your property in the MLS. They'll put a sign, and then they'll just wait. Which that's why I go back to saying that anybody can put a sign on their property. Anybody could put their property online and just wait. So there's absolutely no reason to pay a real estate agent commission these days, because you have all the power in your hands to do exactly the same thing. It's just the perception needs to change, so that way you know you can do it, and that you know that you're the best person to sell your house, and you know that it's your house and it's your equity.
That's right. And I think there's no one better to look out for your own interests and your own equity than you, the homeowner. There's no one out there who's going to have that same commitment and the same drive to get the best results out of this other than the person who's selling their house, which is you. So I know we talked about the option to list your property with a listing agent, which we encourage homeowners to not pay more than 4% commission for that full service experience with a real estate agent. Then we talked about, if you were to sell your house and list it yourself, you could pay potentially 2% to a buyer's agent if an agent came to you and brought a buyer to your house, or you could pay no commission and just completely avoid paying it. Now, how would you go about that, and how would you make that distinction in your advertising to make it clear whether or not you are willing to pay a buyer's agent commission or not?
We at Your House, Your Equity, we encourage homeowners to put a clause in their listings that clearly states that the purchase price does not include a real estate agent commission, that if they choose to use a real estate agent, that they need to add that commission to the price. So that's one of the ways that we do that.
The commission would be added on to the purchase price. So in that case, the buyer would be responsible for paying the commission?
That's right. And a lot of times what will happen is the buyer will just come directly to you because they're not going to want to pay extra for the commission. Because in reality, the buyer wants the house. They don't want the real estate agent. So, quickly people realize you need a house and a buyer and a seller. A real estate agent is not necessarily part of the process because people want the house. The real estate agent, sometimes when they're involved, they make everything cost more for everybody. So, me as a seller, I'm not willing to pay that commission. And then the buyer, if you have that clause in there, they're not willing to pay that commission either. So they want the house. So they'll come to you directly.
Right. So by directly, you mean they'll completely sometimes drop their buyer's agent and come right to you?
Yeah, because they don't want to pay the commission out of their pocket, just like I wouldn't want to pay the commission out of my pocket. So everybody wins at the end of the day because me as a seller, I get to keep my equity and the buyer gets a better price. I mean, in life, you always know it's best to buy direct. Whenever you buy direct, you always save. Everyone always saves. When middlemen get involved in the picture, it always costs everybody more money.
Right, and I know these days it's really important because, of course, sellers want to get the most out of their property that they can. Of course, it's your house and it's your equity. And then the buyers want to get the best deal possible. They want the best deal on their house. They don't want to have to spend extra money for something that's not necessary. So I think one of the natural follow-up questions to that is, if someone were to come to you directly without a real estate agent, how would you go about doing the paperwork? I think that's kind of the biggest concern that most homeowners have, is how they would handle that part of the process without a real estate agent.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. People get hung up on a lot of different things. There's a whole perception that every part is difficult, but it's really not. And at Your House, Your Equity, we teach people to use paperwork professionals that will actually do all the paperwork for you.
Right, so these paperwork professionals, I know it kind of depends on where you live, but who would you be referring to? Like, depending on what state you live in, who would you be working with?
That's right. In some states, it'll be an attorney. In some states, it'll be a title company. And some states allow both. But either way, there's always someone willing to do that for you. And actually, quite honestly, it's better that it's done that way. So that way everything's done right and done directly with the people that are actually handling the closing. So that's why it's great to work with the paperwork professionals, because they're already always doing the paperwork to buy and sell houses and close houses. That's pretty much what they do all the time. So once you have a buyer and you agree on a few of the details, the paperwork professional is going to handle all the paperwork for you, and you're just going to go in and sign the papers, and the buyer's going to go in and sign the papers, and then you're going to wait for the closing. But that's pretty much a process. Nothing to be stressed out about, because we have the people already there in place that'll handle it for you. But again, it could all be handled, and at the same time, you can save your equity.
Vin, I think you're absolutely right. And just to kind of recap here, we've learned that you can absolutely sell your house without a real estate agent to save your equity. And we've also learned a lot of different tips on how to list your property, how to advertise your property, especially in not just top listing sites like Zillow, but through social media like Facebook Marketplace, and also relevant groups in your area where you can post specifically to groups about real estate for sale in your area, and you can get a very almost laser targeted group of buyers that are looking for that. And we've also learned the next part of the process, which is paperwork, is really not as hard as people would think. You don't actually have to do it yourself. You can go through the paperwork professionals who are going to handle the closing anyway, which is a very streamlined process, and it's much easier. So We've also talked about how for those who really feel more comfortable working with a real estate agent, they can still choose to list with a real estate agent, but there's really not a reason to pay 6% commission. Here at Your House, Your Equity, we do encourage homeowners to negotiate your listing agent commission down to 4% or less. But better yet, if you are willing to sell your house on your own, you have the option to do that, and you also have a lot of different tools available to you to make that an easier process in 2023 than it would have been at any point in the past. And in that particular case, if you did choose to list your property on your own, one of two things can happen. You can either pay 2% commission to a buyer's agent for them bringing a buyer to your property, or you can pay no commission and make that even clear in your property description that you're not willing to pay it and that it must be added to the purchase price. So Vin, I think the biggest takeaway here is that no matter which path you choose, whether you sell your house on your own or work with a real estate agent, you can and should save your equity. Is that right? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, I would, because remember, everybody, it's your house. You built it or you bought it. You live in it, you maintain it. And it's your equity, so you might as well keep it.
So before we go, we just have one question for any home sellers out there who either have their property on the market, or if you are ready to put your property on the market and you're kind of struggling, we have a question for you. So if we offered to show you a faster and easier way to sell your house with or without a real estate agent, without you needing any experience, so you can save your time, keep your equity, and move on with your life, would you take us up on that offer? Here at Your House, Your Equity, we are part of a movement that helps homeowners to sell their house in less time and save an average of $10,000 to $30,000 when selling. And we guarantee your house will sell, or we will help you until it does. So if you want to be next, then we invite you to watch our free webinar, How to Easily Sell Your House and Keep Your Equity. And again, it's a free webinar. It's between 60 to 90 minutes, and it is loaded with our best tips and tricks and strategies that we can share with you to help you sell your house quickly and easily, with or without a real estate agent, so you can save your equity. So again, it's our free webinar, How to Easily Sell Your House and Keep Your Equity, and you can find that link to the webinar directly in the description below. All right, so we're going to wrap up this podcast episode here. We want to say thank you for joining us today. I hope you learned something really useful. And of course, you can feel free to check out our free webinar to learn even more, or join us again next week for another podcast episode. But thanks again for your time. We look forward to seeing you in the next one.
My name is Vin.
And my name is Elle. And we're here to help you sell your house and save your equity. You're listening to the Your House, Your Equity podcast, Home Sellers Edition, where we help homeowners like you to sell your house and save your equity. As always, thanks for listening. And if you want more great content like this to help you sell your house quickly and easily, with or without a real estate agent, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, share, and you can also follow us on social media using any of the links in the description. And of course, you can always visit us at yourhouseyourequity.com. Thanks for listening.
Your house, your equity, join the movement.